Welcome back to the RGV Sports Show. We are here with your Week 7 breakdown. Week 7 in the books of Rio Grande Valley High School football. Some good action across the Rio Grande Valley, some upsets, some really big games played. And so we're just fired up to be here and break down everything that was Week 7 in Valley football. My name is Brian Ramos. I'm your 5A football beat writer.
My name's Andrew McCulloch. I'm your District 36A beat writer.
And I'm Raul Garcia covering 31-6A.
And we're happy to be here with you guys. Big week of district matchups all in 36A, 31-6A, and then in both District 16 5A, Division 1 and 2 across the Rio Grande Valley. And no matchup was bigger than the Monitors game of the week here in Week 7, between a District 31-6A showdown between the Westlaco Panthers and the Edinburgh-Bella Sabercats. Roll.
Yeah, that was a great game. From the very beginning, it seemed like it was just going to be a back and forth matchup.
Yeah, and this was a game, Edinburgh-Bella riding a 33-game win streak in district play. Hadn't lost since 2014, Raul. And as you noted, and they come into this one, the Westlaco Panthers put an end to that 33-game win streak and put themselves on the inside track to winning that 31-6A district title.
Yeah, this was one of the goals. I talked to the Westlaco High football team after the game. Coach Stroman had been preaching it all year. You know, district is a goal, but early on he said they're talking state championship, and these guys may make a big run after what we saw and what they've been doing this year. Jacob Cavazos recalled after the game, they lost by 10 last year. They came back. They worked on what they needed to work on, and they got it done. We got some highlights.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to run to those highlights right now?
Let's check those highlights out.
Let's do it. Big highlights.
The biggest game of the week, Westlaco at Robert Villa High School. The Sabercats have dominated Valley competition and haven't lost a district game since 2014. That's 33 straight district wins. The Panthers come into this game on a roll, having won 4 straight games, and they're looking for payback after losing last year 17-7. First big play of the game comes on special teams. A bad bunt here goes into the back of one of the Sabercats because of the pressure applied by the Westlaco Panthers. That would lead to a 28-yard field goal attempt, and it's good for Ramiro Galvez, 3-0 Panthers with the early lead. We're all tied at 3 in the second quarter, and Vela, they take the early lead here. AJ Sotelo finds Kevin Rojas, and it's 10-3 Sabercats, but a lot of game to be played in this one. Panthers trying to score here. Jacob Cavazos down the field. Jake Granados with the catch, and now it's Sabercat territory. Another catch here by Granados inside the 20-yard line. Cavazos now keeps this one 16 yards for the score, and we're all tied at 10, 7:03 in the second quarter. Robert Villa High School now with the ball here, and Raul Garcia for the Panthers strips the ball loose, recovered by Elijah Stevenes. Panthers in business. That would lead to Cavazos looking for another score. Keeps it. He's in. Panthers lead 17-10. Still right here before the half, and Vela hits a 23-yard field goal, and the Panthers up 17-13 at the half. Opening drive of the third quarter, and Cavazos finds Granados inside the 15-yard line here for the Panthers, and that would lead to Cavazos. His third touchdown of the game, and Westlaco is up 24-13. Vela here on fourth down here in the third quarter, and the Panthers defense holds. They come up with a big play right here, and the ball is over on down. We move to the fourth quarter, and it's third down and 3. Westlaco needs a big play, and watch Cavazos. He goes to work here, breaking tackles on his way to the end zone, and the Panthers up big, 31-13, but still a lot of time left in the game. 11:22 left in the fourth quarter, and here comes the Sabercats. PJ Rivera right up the middle. The game's not done yet. The
I kind of
Panthers are
forgot
up
names
by
like when we
11,
talk about Chris Jade.
41-20. Vela
I know Morales, but
stopping
Wesley.
Rojas with a catch from Sotelo. A big play here. Cutting down the lead, 31-28 Panthers. Up only by 3. Panthers need a big play after being stuck on the last possession. And Cavazos is fine. James Cavazos. Panthers in business. Kate Canal finishes the drive. Panthers now back up by 10. 38-28. Vela now desperate. Late in the game here under 2 minutes. Passing down the field. And Angel Castellano comes up with the interception. And Westlaco and Canal. He puts the cherry on top. And Westlaco Panthers. Coach Royce Roman gets it done. Stunning Vela, winning it by a final score of 44-28 in a signature win for the Panthers.
But this one had a lot of meaning to it. They were the defending district champs of last year. The kids knew it. We challenged our kids. We challenged those kids about being disciplined and then playing tough and being physical. I thought the defense played very well, and bringing it, and our offense, they've carried us all year. I mean, they're averaging 40-something points a game, and they put, 44 on a very good defense, a very well-coached team over there. But, we have goals as a team, and our main goal is to contend for a district championship, and this just got us a little bit closer to that. I'm going to let the kids enjoy it for 24 hours, and then we'll get ready for Donald North.
And that was Wesco ISD's highlights. We want to thank the school district for allowing us to share those with you. But what do you think about that running and that action passing play?
It was just an unbelievable performance from Westlaco's Jacob Cavazos. Just 197 yards through the air, 180 more on the ground. Just a really good, completely solid performance from him to lead his team to victory. And that you got to give credit to that Westlaco defense to hold the SaberCats to just 3 touchdowns, which is not an easy thing to do. Just a really overall impressive performance for the Westlaco High Panthers and Coach Stroman and for that team here in District 31-6A.
Yeah, it was exciting, I think, on both sides. At one point it could have gone either way, but you saw that defense to hold Sotelo and the SaberCats on a 4th down. And what I thought would have been the turning point of the game going into the contest was if Sotelo was able to get picked, that might have been one of the X factors. And just like Carlos Roberto broadcasted on those highlights, that it was the cherry on the top for the Wesco High as Kanab went in there on his last scoring drive and came out. As I was filming on the side, he came out and did the little "I'm hungry" thing.
Yeah, he was eating. He had 2 touchdowns on Thursday night, and just to, I guess, put an emphasis on that win. Westlaco High was hungry for it. Like you said last year, they had a 7-0 lead going into the break at halftime in Westlaco. They ended up losing 17-7, but this year they finished the job as the coaches and as those players were talking about in the locker room at halftime this year, and they got it done. 44-28, Westlaco High over Edinburgh Vela in the Monitors Game of the Week.
And just one last thing, guys. At the end of the game, I don't know if you guys noticed, but Christian Garces was actually called on to go hit that last field goal, and that's a terrific story that's been covered over the last few weeks, and we had that in our Wednesday story as a feature on him. He has a rare disability where the muscles didn't kind of fully develop, and he wanted to be on the football team. He comes from a family that bleeds purple, and he just had it in his mind. He had heard the stories from his family, like what it was like to be on the gridiron with the Brotherhood of the Panthers, and this is a guy that had to overcome the adversity, the will and just the courage that he showed, and going up to Coach Stroman at the end of his junior year to ask if he could be on the team, and then kind of make the team. Coach told him, "Okay, what do you want to do? How would you like to help?" And he says, "I want to be a kicker." And one thing that I didn't touch on in the story, when if you hadn't had a chance to read it, it'll go online later with some highlights of Christian. was he also suffers from a not a strong foot. So he's kicking off his stronger foot and, pivoting, bringing all his power from a weaker foot. So he not only is he's weak in the arms, but strong in heart, and it's dangerous when you're on the field.
Yeah.
For anybody. I mean, we had one guy that was carted off the field against that Sabercat high school football team on the West Coast side, and we're going to come back with some information on his status once we get in contact with Coach Stroman again. But Christian Garces is something else. He didn't make it. It was just short of the field goal, which I mean, it could have gone in. But I talked to him after the game. He's like, I didn't make it this time, but there's going to be more shots. Absolutely. Get ready, Wesco. I'm here to stay.
Yeah, and it's good to see him. You just get on the field in such a big game, and whether you make or miss, that doesn't matter. What matters is that he was out there and got to be a big part of that team win, which it really was from the Westaco Panthers here in Week 7. So congratulations to the Panthers on that big win there in 31-6A. Now to keep this one moving, take it to our other district, 6A district. Andrew, over in 36A, the unbeaten McAllen Row Warriors with another test, another team trying to hand them that first loss. How did the Warriors fare here in Week 7?
That's right. This is the beginning of a tough stretch for the Row Warriors. They get 3 playoff teams from last year in the next 3 weeks, and they kicked it off with a bang against the PSJ North Raiders last night. Quarterback Jonas Ortiz really helped the Warriors get out to a quick start in this one. Went into halftime with a 17-0 lead and ultimately jumped out to a 24-0 advantage. Ortiz was great in this one, throwing the ball and running it. He was 6 of 12 passing for 118 yards and a critical touchdown pass. And he added 88 yards on the ground, including a 42-yard scramble for what was the Warriors' last touchdown on the night. On the other side, PSJ North got off to kind of a slow start. This is the second week in a row that the Raiders failed to score in the opening half of the game. Although, unlike last week, they found themselves as the ones mounting a comeback this time instead of trying to hold it off. Isaiah Ronhell led them back somewhat closely, fired a touchdown pass, and then Isaac Gonzalez, their running back, helped him add a couple more scores, trimmed the deficit to 5, although it seemed like they just didn't have enough down the stretch. Their defense played real solid the second half, but ultimately they got the ball back with a chance to drive the length of the field and take the lead at the end. Couldn't pick up a first down when they needed to, and the Warriors end up pulling out this one. Significant because it keeps Rowe atop the district in first place with Mission and now McAllen Memorial and PSJA High following quickly behind them. But this district is going to run through McAllen at the end of the day, and more specifically through Nicky Rowe. The Warriors just keep on impressing, man. And, I mean, Ortiz technically got outpassed last night by PSJ North, but the kid just never makes never tries to force anything, always making smart plays. He had one interception toward the very end of the game last night that didn't really seem to play much of a factor, but only his second pick in 6 games on the season. So pretty impressive stuff from him and the Warriors, and they're doing it with some injury concerns too. Running back Lorenzo Lopez went down in the game last night, which kind of was the beginning of the end for their offensive momentum. They didn't score again after that, but they didn't need to because they were so effective against what's really one of the stauncher defenses in the area. So, Rowe will have another big test coming up this week. They play PSJ High in a Thursday night game that I'm sure everyone will have their eyes on, and we'll have to see if the Warriors can remain the lone unbeaten team in all 6A. Yeah,
6-0 now for Nicky Rowe, with a big one coming up here in Week 8. Another team trying to hand them that first loss on the year. So to take it down to the 5A level, on Friday night, I was in the black hole. Ed Calchelsa played host to the Sharyland High Rattlers in District 16 5A Division II action. And this one, it went down to the final seconds, guys. It was a thriller up until the very end. It was just a back-and-forth game. Sharyland High takes a 21-13 lead into the locker rooms. And then the second half, it was just eventful from beginning to end. Both teams making plays. head coach Elsa's Jake Cardenas runs for 188 yards and 3 touchdowns. Sharyland High quarterback Benji Valdivia, he runs for, he throws for 172, runs for another 37, has 4 total touchdowns in the game. So just a good complete performance by him. But when it mattered, these were the 2 top defenses in District 16 5A Division II coming into it, and it looked like Sharyland was going to pull out the victory. They had a 34-33 lead, a 34-33 lead late in the game, and head coach Elsa's trying to move down the field, come through to take the lead, but the Sharyland defense holds, recovers a head coach Elsa Yellow Jacket fumble, and it looks like Sharyland's in control. There's just a little over a minute left in the game, about a minute and 20 seconds left. Sharyland High has the ball in head coach Elsa territory, looking to kind of just run out the clock, pick up a 1 first down, which would have effectively ended that game. But on first down, Sharyland loses 7 yards on a handoff. On second down, they get called for a 15-yard penalty, which backs them up to a 2nd and 32. And now they're back on the head coach Elsa side on the Sharyland side of the field. And on that 2nd and 32, they run a jet sweep, and waiting for that jet sweep was head coach Elsa's defensive end, Matt Segura, who just swallowed up the Sharyland High ball carrier and ripped the ball right out of his hands and takes possession of it and just rumbles downfield to the Sharyland High 22-yard line. And Matt Segura, he used to play offense, used to be on the offensive side of the ball as a freshman and sophomore. They needed him on the defensive end. That's what he did for his team on Friday night against the Sharyland High Rattlers. He gives his team the ball back, sets them up in field goal position. The Yellow Jackets run 2 plays, and then Angel Crispian comes in with a 25-yard field goal kick to give head coach Elsa the 36-34 lead with 18 seconds left, and they go on to hold on for that victory. And now the Yellow Jackets have won 4 of their last 5, and people are asking, is head coach Elsa back? Is La Máquina back? And guys, at the moment, it definitely looks like it is. Things weren't looking good last night for them, but they found a way. They got that ball back, and they made it happen. And so now they are 2-1 in district play, and next up for them is a very winnable game against a Laredo Figueroa team who is winless in district play. So all credit to Coach Christian Novato and his group, who never quit when things weren't looking good and time was running out, but they found a way to get it done. And Sharyland High, meanwhile, they fall to 2-1 in district play, and next week they'll be getting ready for the Snakeskin Classic against Sharyland Pioneer, their rival and sister school there in the Sharyland ISD. So now both these teams 2-1 in district play. Going to be interesting to see how they fare the rest of the way, who will pull ahead in that District 16 5A Division 1. So really big win for the Yellow Jackets here in Week 7 over the Sharyland High Rattlers, 36-34. And Andrew, to take it back to your district, 36A, Raul, you caught this one actually on Friday night. PSJA High and McCulloch Memorial, 2 of the top teams there in 36A going at it. I know these are teams you're familiar with. Raul, you got to check them out, I believe, for the first time this year. How did this game play out, and what was your takeaways from it?
Yeah, when you step into PSJA Stadium and the Bears are on the field, you hear a siren like trouble. And there was a lot of trouble in this thriller of a game that started right off the bat. Memorial with a 70-yard touchdown with Campbell Spates just running it untouched, just went straight final hole. Mm-hmm. Just like Littleton says, they got a offensive line that makes holes, and he blasted straight through it, and he was gone.
Absolutely,
he was gone, and it just kind of shut that siren down, and everybody's jaws were kind of dropped at the people that were in the stands in a cold football night that we don't get very often in these parts. But PSJ High was able to tighten their shoelaces, and they marched down and they hit a field goal. Memorial missed their field goal attempt, so they kept the game close at 6-3.
Mm-hmm. Andrew, go ahead.
Yeah, the highlight of this one was definitely pitting maybe the area's best running back against potentially the area's best wide receiver. We're talking, of course, about McCall Memorial's Campbell Spates and PSJ High's Miguel Flores. Both these guys backed up that claim with some serious play on Friday night. Spates ran for 263 yards and 5 touchdowns on just 30 carries. That's his 6th performance with 200 yards or more in 6 games this
6
year.
for 6.
Just real crazy numbers. He's only a handful of yards now from hitting the 1,500-yard mark, which is crazy because a week ago we were talking about him hitting 1,000. Just an unreal clip that he's moving at. And then on the other side, you had Flores, who tallied over 100 yards receiving for the 2nd week in a row, had a pair of touchdowns. Real big game for him. He's really separating himself from what was already a very talented group of wide receivers. It kind of seems like with both of these guys, no matter what you throw at them, you can only hope to contain them and not stop them because these seem like 2 of the most dangerous playmakers in all of South Texas.
Yeah, it seemed at first like maybe there wasn't going to be an answer for the Memorial Mustangs and Campbell Spates because on just their 2nd series after PSJ kicked off, again, Campbell Spates goes for another 70-yarder from behind their territory. But after that, PSJ was able to kind of get an answer, and they held Campbell for pretty much most of the game until he kind of broke away for another 20 or 30-yarder late in the 3rd, 4th quarter. But it was back and forth. Yeah, Justin Morales really proved that he stepped up. He was able to orchestrate multiple drives from deep in their territory all the way from the help of Junior Vasquez, who was able to run the ball. And then they throw their second punch was to Miguel Flores, who was just spectacular. These guys, and there was other guys that were in the mix that I'm not able to refer to, but this game came down to the wire. Like when Memorial scored, PSJ scored. So PSJ ended up with the lead at halftime, 17 to maybe 13. So it was a very tight game, but in the end, Memorial was able to take the lead, and towards the end of the game, PSJ High was stuck with having to drive pretty much the length of the field again, score, and they were going to need a 2-point conversion to tie the game just to force an overtime, which they accomplished. They accomplished that. They were able to go for a 2 with 5 seconds left in the game, and they go for a pass play that seemed was right on the tips of Vigo Lopez's fingertips, but it just didn't have enough stick on those tips, and Campbell Spates came up with the ball.
Yeah, big win for McCall Memorial.
Yeah, that's the 2nd time this year the Mustangs have escaped in the closing seconds with stifling a 2-point conversion, and kind of gives credence to the saying that sometimes you'd rather be lucky than good. And the Mustangs were certainly very lucky to pull out of that one last night without having to dip into overtime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So big 39-37 win for the Campbell Spates and the Mustangs over the PSJ High Bears in District 36A action.
Coach Rodriguez at the end, just a last little note. Coach Rodriguez at the end talked to his team, and he's like, you know what, this is just one game. It means we just got to get back on track. And for Memorial, their backs were against the wall in this game because if they had lost, they would have been maybe 0-2. Or
1-2.
1-2 in district play, which wasn't going to be very, very sitting well with Coach Littleton and that team. But yeah, just like Andrew said, they were able to come out with this win in a very impressive way.
Yeah, definitely keeps the Mustangs in contention for that district title still, and perhaps more importantly, keeps them in that playoff hunt without dropping into that dreaded 5th place spot.
Absolutely. So just some really good football going on here in Week 7 in the Rio Grande Valley. So with that said, we gave you a breakdown of the games that we were at. We're going to take a quick break with a word from our sponsor, the J. Gonzalez Law Firm, and we'll be right back breaking down some more big Week 7 matchups here in the Rio Grande Valley and visits from some of the best volleyball players here in the RGV. So here's a word from our sponsor.
Jay Gonzalez, a lawyer with thousands of cases won and millions rewarded in settlements. Over 15 years of experience and recipient of numerous awards. If you've been in an accident, there's only one name to remember: Jay Gonzalez.
Thank you to our sponsor, the J. Gonzalez Law Firm. And so keep it moving here in Week 7. Andrew, on Thursday night, you were at another thriller that went down to the wire. Mission High and the Waters Lincoln Huskies.
Yeah, this one was sort of a bizarre game because it looked like we had a shootout on our hands from the jump. A lot of scoring in the opening half. The Huskies actually struck first on the first drive of the game, converted a 2-point conversion, and kind of had a big homecoming crowd there at Tom Landry Stadium on edge from the get-go. The Eagles and Huskies kind of traded blows throughout the first half. Had a big night from wide receiver Stevie Villarreal on that Eagles side. He had 10 catches for 148 yards and 3 touchdowns, all in the first half.
That's big time.
Yeah, it was really a big clutch performance for Mission, especially in the aftermath of losing starting running back Tito Moranta for the season. It seems like Villarreal has really become that go-to big playmaker for them. And, on the other side of the field, the Huskies looked really sharp, too. Quarterback Josh Briones scored on a long touchdown pass to track star wide receiver Luis Flores. And, their running game was real strong in this one. I think they had easily over 100 yards on the ground. Yeah, almost 200, 192 for the team. But the second half was pretty bizarre in this one. We went into halftime with the Eagles holding a slim 31-30 lead. And then neither team was able to add to that at all in the second half. A lot of turnovers in the second half, fumbles on La Jolla's side, a few interceptions for the Eagles, a few failed fourth down opportunities both ways, and just a real strong defensive effort from both sides kind of held this one scoreless down the stretch. I caught up with Juarez Lincoln head coach Tommy Garcia after the game. He said, all we needed was to get a field goal, and we couldn't manage to do that. So, you got to tip your hat to the Eagles for buckling down there at the end. And this is their third straight win by a field goal or less in district play. So, really only a handful of plays separating the Eagles from being 3-0 to 0-3 in 36A. Kind of got to feel confident to escape with a win in this one. I caught up with Jeremy Duran, the Eagles' sophomore quarterback, after this one as well. And he said at halftime, he told his defense, we'll go out there and score a lot for you guys. We just need to get a stop to win this game. And he was jokingly pretty happy that his defense got a stop every time because the Eagles were not able to score anymore after that.
Yeah, so Mission High cutting it close, but the only stat that matters is 3-0 in district play at the moment.
You said it, and that's a big win for the Eagles. They stay ahead of McCown Memorial thanks to that head-to-head result, and they got a big matchup coming in a couple weeks against the first-place Row Warriors. As the only 2 unbeaten teams left in 36A, that one could very well determine who walks away with the district crown in November.
Going to be a good one coming up there in District 36A. And now to take it back down to the 5A level, to District 16 5A Division 1, Mission Veterans, they remain unbeaten in district play, moved to 5-0 there, and they're the only remaining unbeaten team in 16 5A D1, and they get the win. Danny Cantu rushes for 2 touchdowns. AJ Gonzac comes through with a catch and run for a touchdown. So they get the job done, but even in the victory, they suffer an even bigger loss as their sophomore quarterback, who was emerging onto the scene as one of the brightest young stars at the quarterback position here in the Rio Grande Valley. Quarterback Ricky Urena suffers a broken leg injury there in the first quarter and was fortunately pulled from the game, went to the hospital last night for surgery. I spoke to Coach Gilpin last night, and surgery was successful. And so Coach Gilpin even tweeted today that Reyna could possibly be ready for spring ball. So congratulations to Mission Veterans on the win, and of course sending our best to quarterback Ricky Urena and the Mission Veterans football program, and hoping he heals up soon and gets well, because I know there's big things for him to come in his high school football career. And so, that's in District 16 5A Division 1. There are a few other teams on bye in 5A Division 1. So to take it to 5A D2 for a second, Pioneer picks up a 35-6 win over Valley View. Pioneer now moves to 5-1 on the year, and 2-0 in district play. So Pioneer, the number 3 team here in the Rio Grande Valley, still on top, and that offense able to put up 35 points. And then in Roma, the Gladiators played host to the Laredo Figueroa, and they pitched a shutout, guys. A 40-0 win over Laredo Figueroa. Just a complete dominant performance from the Roma offense and defense, as Jonathan Rios comes through with a couple of touchdown passes. Luis Gonzalez and Hiram Flores rush for 2 more scores. So just a really complete performance. Coach Villanueva said this is the most complete performance his team has had this season, and the scoreboard reflects that with a big win for Roma, who is now 2-1 in district play. So shout out to the Roma as they're moving on there in District 16 5A Division 2. Now to jump back up to the 6A level, Raul, got a rivalry game. The Edinburgh North Cougars and the Edinburgh High Bobcats, just the oldest rivalry there in Edinburgh, and just, some good news for the people wearing gold.
Definitely. Michael Rodriguez did very well under center last night. He was able to connect with multiple wide receivers, and Brendan Borrego scored another touchdown, and Sergio Quintanilla scored a touchdown, and Jacob Pirales was tremendous in his rushing game, pushing the ball forward, and for the Cougars. So after talking to Coach Damon Gonzalez after the game, he's like, he's been preaching to the team. Practice pays off, hard work pays off, and last night was their payday. It was a big win over Edinburgh High. This positions them in, looking for possibly the 4th spot in the playoff for a playoff berth, which that they've been scratching and clawing their way for years, and this is a spot that's been held and tightly by the Edinburgh Bobcats. So this is a big win for the Cougars program.
Absolutely, yeah. And Edinburgh North, the Cougars get into the end zone with 42 seconds left in that game to pull ahead 35-28 for that 7-point win over the rival Bobcats. So a good win for Edinburgh North, who is now 2-1 in district play.
2-1 in district play.
And so they put themselves in good position to lock up a playoff spot.
They're tied with Vela right now.
Yeah. They're Edinburgh North looking good. They better take a picture of those standings right while they can. And so our last football game that we're going to break down here in Week 7, Andrew, La Jolla High and the Mac High Bulldogs, they get after it on the football field Friday night. And, how did this one turn out?
Well, these were 2 teams looking to secure their first district win on the season after both started 0-2. And a real strong bounce-back performance for the Coyotes in this one. Their defense had really struggled through the opening part of district play. Gave up 70 against PSG High and 62 against McCulloch Memorial. It really looked like that was going to be their Achilles heel that kept them from getting a district win until they sorted that out. And they definitely sorted it out in a big way this week, holding the Bulldogs to 7 points. They were pitching a shutout at halftime, and again, the running game was on point for La Jolla for the 2nd week in a row. As a team, they rushed for 324 yards on the Bulldogs. Specifically, running back Eddie Villarreal had another excellent game, 174 yards on the ground and a score. And then Ivan Garces added 86 yards and a touchdown as well. That La Jolla running game really seems to be finding its footing here around the midway point of the season. And, if that defense can keep it up like how they played against Mac High, I think the Coyotes are going to surprise some people here down the stretch. A big emphasis for them has been buckling down defensively and limiting those big plays. And they didn't give up any big plays to the Bulldogs last night, and they hardly let them have the ball. When I spoke to Coach Ruben Farias after the game, this one at La Jolla, he said the Bulldogs only had 14 first-half offensive snaps. Hard to get anything going when you don't ever have the ball, and even harder when the defense on the other side of you is playing lights out. So congratulations to the Coyotes for picking up their first win in 36A, and for the Bulldogs, they'll go back to the drawing board before they have to face a talented McCulloch Memorial team in a rivalry this week.
Absolutely, yeah. Good to see the Coyotes bounce back from those 2 losses to start district play. And so with that said, that wraps up our football talk here on the RGV Sports Show Week 7 recap. But we're not done. We're going to take it to the volleyball court where we had a visit from some of the best liberos here in the Rio Grande Valley. Pay us a visit here at the Monitor, and we're going to actually send it to Andrew, who got a chance to visit with them. So take a look at this volleyball video that we got.
Thank you, Brian, and welcome back to the RGV Sports Show. I'm joined here by our editor, Henry Miller, who's a very special in-studio guest. Henry, why don't you take it away?
I didn't get attacked by barking this time. It's amazing. Welcome, everyone. Glad to have you out here. We have some very, very special and talented guests here with us today. We have 4 liberos, 4 of the best liberos you're going to find in South Texas. Next to me is Corey Talamontes. She goes to Memorial, McAllen Memorial, not any other memorial, just in case. I want to make sure I got that clear. Is that all right? Yes. Did I do okay? All right, next to her is Ivana Ramos from Edinburgh North. We'll leave that one for last. Here we have Bella, right? Dominguez. She's from Mission Veterans. And then we have Audrey Zamora from McAllen High, the Bulldogs. Say hi, girls.
Hi.
Boy, that was exciting, wasn't it? So, girls, let me start off by asking y'all, what is it exactly that a libero does? Bella, you're the senior here. What's a libero do?
She's the person that takes control in the back row and goes for everything that comes her way.
What else? What are some of the other aspects of your position? I know you get most of the serves, right? So, what else do y'all do in the back row?
We communicate a lot between our players, and we just have to read like where the ball's at, and yeah.
And when you say reading where the ball's at, I think one of you were talking to me, Ivana, about what you watch for when the hitters are going up, because you're basically just targets. I mean, you're out there, and you're supposed to get in front of the ball. So if this thing is coming 100 miles an hour at you, your job is to what?
Pick it up.
Pick it up, step in front of it. So what do you look for when a hitter goes up?
I look at their hips and then the positioning of their hand and how they're turning or not turning.
I'd be looking for the nearest exit sign myself. My daughter got crushed. If y'all know, she got crushed by somebody during varsity practice, had to go through concussion protocol. She got hit right here. Of course, as soon as I got home, she was hungry and made me go to IHOP, so she was okay. But now talk about it was very interesting, Corey, talking to you about your first game going in as a libero, and who did you have to face?
Mission Vets.
And they have?
Cassie. They have like a lot of strong hitters. Strong hitters,
and you just had to jump right in there. Can you talk a little about what it's like when, you've got a ball coming at you. You have no time. I saw the other day, you barely had time to move. Talk about facing someone like Lexi.
You really have to know where she wants to place the ball, either if it's away from you or she's just gonna go make it go down. So you just have to see her eyes where she's looking to hit and her shoulders, and you just have to face your stomach to where she is to be able to pick up the ball.
And who are some of the biggest hitters y'all have faced? I'm sure in practice y'all have a bunch of them that you face, but who are some of the ones that you faced as opponents?
Lexi and I forgot her name from the middle.
Demi?
Yes, Demi.
Yeah, I'd have to say Demi also, and then Cassie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I faced her in the summer.
Oh, me. Well, the biggest hitter that I've ever played through high school would be Jackie Alanis. She was a really strong hitter, and Lexi, of course.
And who?
Lexi.
Okay.
Lexi and Cassie.
So some similar. Well, when you have good liberos, you're going to face the top hitters, and you just can't shy away from them, right? You got to stand in there and stand your ground. I was reading something where y'all also liberos take something like 60% of all serves through a match. Why do they keep serving to y'all? Do you ever ask yourselves that after you hit 6 back to them? Y'all are just not very talkative, huh?
It's the jersey.
It's the jersey.
Yeah, we're pointing out.
You can skip in. You can just bark in. Oh wait, you don't bark. You neigh, right? Because you're a Mustang. You're not gonna hit me, are you? All right, you got any questions you want to ask right now, real quick?
Yeah. What's the biggest secret to being a talented libero for people who might not be as familiar with the position?
Being quick.
Okay.
I think being loud on the court.
Yeah, lots of communication back and forth, that sort of thing.
going for every ball, no matter like how difficult it might be, to just go for it.
Mm-hmm. And then, kind of like you guys were saying, you guys play a lot of talented hitters. How important is it for you guys to sort of set the tone on defense for your teams?
It's very important because once you start knowing like, hey, it's okay, like we actually can do this, your whole team follows you and like, you know what, you're right, we can do this, and it motivates and gets momentum going for the game.
Now, what's pretty neat is 2 of our guests up here are ranked 1 and 2 in the nation on Max Preps for the most digs for the season so far. And that's Ivana is number 1 with something like 902 digs on the season. I think that was the latest number. And then Bella's second at around 842, I think, not counting today's games. So that information, plus more, will be in a story we're running in the Monitor and on RGVSports.com tomorrow. And you can probably see a little bit of it down there. It's called Can You Dig It? Do you get it? It's a play on words. I just get these death looks from here. Like, you're in trouble afterwards, you know that? So that'll be in the Monitor tomorrow. They're autographing some copies here. They won't be on eBay. They're for us specially, okay? So talk about what do you have to do practice-wise that's maybe different from the rest of the group when you're practicing to be in this position, because it's a very unique position. It's beyond a defensive specialist. I mean, y'all, Ryan Richardson, who trains with Ryan? Train with Ryan. He was talking the other day about how it's like a predatory position where a defensive specialist might stop and y'all just keep going. I mean, didn't one of you run out of a gym the other day to go after the ball? I swear I saw somebody go, maybe they just had to leave or something, but they'll go all over the place. They'll climb into the stands, things like that. So that's very impressive. What are some of the practice or the routines that y'all do to get yourself ready for things like this? Anyone? Ivana?
Well, I don't know, practice usually does change a lot, because if you practice the same thing, like if you just practice getting a down ball, it's not going to help you. But it is like a lot of practice of being quick, and also it's like you have to practice your communication, because if you don't do it at practice, you're not going to do it on the court.
So when you say communicating, what are some of the things that you might be yelling out to your teammates?
You can yell like where the hitter on the other side is going to hit. You can say go cross, or line, or tip, or roll shot, so it helps them move their feet fast.
And any of you tell your teammates to get out of your way?
Yes.
That's what you told me, right, in the interview? That.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably. She's like, but not in a mean way.
Just every ball, like, you should get because you're the most talented, or like that's your position and that's like how you got your spot. So you should be the one to get the pass because you're the best one out there in defensive wise.
So why do other teams continue? Like, I've coached teams and everything, and I'm always telling them, don't hit it to the middle, because that's where the libero is, that's where the best player is. It's like throwing a softball pitch to someone who's going to hit a home run. And so why do they keep hitting it to y'all? I mean, do you position yourselves even on free balls to be in the right spot? Mm-hmm. And how do you go about doing that? Audrey, you've been quiet. You don't have to be so.
Sometimes they just do an accident, but then like sometimes we just like position ourselves like in the right spot at the right time, and we just react fast to like where the ball's at.
That's awesome. I have a couple of trivia questions for y'all. Candy is involved here, so we'll see. Libero is one of the newest positions in any sport. All right, it didn't come around 20, 30 years ago. Matter of fact, when I coached it, it wasn't there. When I came back, it was there, and I just thought girls kept forgetting their jerseys. So I don't know why they had different colored jerseys on. So what year do you think that liberos were formally introduced into volleyball? Anyone?
1998.
You're right. Wow. Coach Dodge must be teaching y'all volleyball history, right? What are you looking at? You can have one.
Nothing with bulldog.
Not this. She's just getting on me about, I'm not a bulldog, my daughter is. Don't I have to represent her? All right, question number 2. All right? This one's for 2 Whoppers. You ready? What year do you think the NCAA finally put liberos into play?
2002.
You think? She's just a genius. Do they teach volleyball history in school?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. We'll have to congratulate Coach Dodge. I'm just joking. You know, she had the answers before Andrew gave them to her. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Would I do that? Oh, geez, I'm in so much trouble here. You can have one anyway. So, talk about the rest of your seasons, what your plans are, and what are you looking to do in the future? You're being a senior. Go first.
For the second round of district play, we are looking to take every team in 3 sets and to make a far run in the playoffs this year.
Now, y'all are going on a 4-year, or trying to be 5 years now, right? Undefeated in district?
Yes.
That's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Yes, we're trying to beat Jackie and Mac's record this year.
And Jackie and Mac was Jackie Howell and Mackenzie Gerlach?
Gerlach, yes.
The one I keep calling something else whenever I write about her.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's her. So, Audrey?
Looking towards the second round district, we want to go undefeated, and then we want to go pretty far in the playoffs also.
We want to stay undefeated.
Oh.
And
did you like that one?
we want to stay undefeated and go far in the playoffs.
Okay, going into second round of district, we most importantly want to have like a lot of fun and build more chemistry for next year, and we hope to like go on and make it far in the playoffs. But if we don't, we're okay with it.
Now you're in a rough district right now because there's a lot of teams with like 1 loss, like 3 or 4 of you, correct?
Yes.
So you, Weslaco, who else? Vela?
Yeah, you guys had a big win over Vela earlier this week, right? I think that tied you guys first place. Can you tell us a little bit about that match?
It was like really scary, but we did go out like we wanted to win, and I think Bella just kind of came out a little confident, and like we kind of took advantage of that, and then once we put them down, like we just kept going with it.
Yeah, was it a big confidence boost for you guys to sort of get them the second time around?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think who do you guys have up next?
Bobcats on Tuesday.
Oh wow, that'll be another big one.
Yeah.
That's probably for first or second place. I mean, you guys maybe have the most exciting district at the very top in this whole area. What do you think you guys need to do to sort of close it out down the stretch?
Well, I think what we're doing right now is fine. Like, we're not even really worried about winning. Sometimes we're just more worried about having fun with each other.
Absolutely. And, I mean, all of you guys have an opportunity to win district in the districts y'all are in. All of y'all are set up to make the playoffs, too. What do each of y'all's teams need to do down the stretch here to get ready for that point?
To just, once you start strong, to not let any team come back in and just finish like fast, to risk less injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't let them get a comeback going, that sort of thing. What about you, Corey?
To not take any team lightly, because any day, any team can beat any team. Like, it doesn't matter if you're like, oh, going in, like, we can beat this team. Any team can beat any team any day.
Absolutely. Audrey, how about you guys?
I just think, like, starting off the game slow, like, especially when it's, like, a team that's, like, not that good. And we start off slow and, like, it kind of surprises us that, like, they're keeping up with us. So just, like, starting strong, like what you said.
Yeah, and you two have another big rematch coming up, Memorial and Mackay. I was at that game the last time you guys played. There's pretty exciting stuff. You guys looking forward to that rematch?
Yes.
Me too. Where am I sitting during that game?
Our side.
And your side is?
Memorial. Mustangs.
It's not my fault, Coach Dodge. It's not my fault. So, all right, here we go. We're going to do something right now to let everybody know what a libero does. So we're going to switch the cameras. I'm going to have, who wants, you're looking ready to dive. Go over there.
Okay. She's wearing spandex.
I don't know, because you're wearing shorts and stuff. You want to dive too?
I'm just saying.
You're going to dive second? All right. Someone, can you take care of her when you bring her home? Give her some ice and fever medication. And so, who's got the camera? Rose. All right, who wants to hit it to her? You want me to? Want to hit it to her?
You can hit it.
What?
You can hit it to her.
All right. Get out of the way, unless you plan on getting killed.
Ooh, okay.
So he's your setter, okay? Do you think you can keep it under that and get it? Just get it to him. Just catch it. Don't set it, because she'll try to kill it. You ready?
Wait. I don't want my hair to go
You know, when we first got with her, she was in the truck for an hour putting her hair together. You good? You ready to go now?
I'm ready.
All right, you can step back a little bit more. I'm accurate.
I'm accurate.
Ready? Who's your setter? Here we go. All right. All right, now what happens if they tip it? There we go.
Oh, okay.
saving the best for. You haven't heard them say anything. Ready? What am I supposed to tell you? Just catch the ball. All right, here, let's try it again. Ready? Catch the ball. Good job. Here we go. Ready? If he falls over, it's okay. Yeah. Oh, somebody else catch it. You saved Raul. You like my pinpoint accuracy there?
Yeah.
Good. Senior, extra year. So it can come a little harder at you, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to Lexi.
I
Throw it at him.
No.
Do you have a bowling ball? I heard you can hit those just as well, right?
What?
Never mind. Ready, here we go. Well, look at that. There we go. What does that mean? Here, take another one. Yeah, you're trying to lean that way. You can't look at my hips, I really don't have any. And that's what y'all do like 100 times a game. And they don't get a break, right? How many times have you been laying on the floor and here comes a ball like at your feet you got to turn around and go get? Happens all the time, right? So this is the reason, these girls are a big reason of why volleyball is so exciting these days, because so many times in the past before liberos were around, someone would go and kill the ball and there wasn't somebody trained to be a predator, to go after the ball, pick it back up and keep the rallies going. And that's why we have so many more attack errors too, because these girls just keep sending it back. And I saw Lexi one day just getting so frustrated. I forget who it was against. I'm already tired just from hitting those balls. You too? Well, you had a whole match before, so you have a reason. All I did was give out candies. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So I saw Lexi go like 3 times, and it kept going back to her. Finally, the 3rd time, she just had this look on her face like there was no denying it. And y'all have to just, what's it feel like when y'all are returning like the biggest hits? What do you?
Feels great.
It right?
Yes.
What was one of your favorite hits or balls you returned? Do you remember anything in particular?
When we played Memorial and Demi went, or no, your outside went line.
Natalie Silva? Is she like tall?
No, not Natalie. The other one.
Marburger?
Bianca. She went line.
She's not tall.
Margaret?
Marburger?
She's okay. She's like she's medium height. Yeah, she is. Not tall, but she's tall.
Okay, not tall.
Yeah.
That's what I should have said. Not tall.
And picking up her line shot, that was like exciting.
What tips off a line shot? I know you talked about Glenise always going down the line for
Yes.
Vela.
Vela?
I'm a Yankee, I'm sorry. Talk about picking up a ball. How do you know one's coming down the line? Because that's, usually blockers are trying to pinch that off.
It's like the way they're headed in, like the way they're approaching in, and then like their shoulders, like they turn, like their hand also.
So y'all could totally tell if I was coming to the net, about ready to kill one. Don't be laughing already. And you can tell just by like shoulders, my approach. So there's a lot of indicators that tell you where the ball's going to go. Is that why they try to cut it sometimes? They try to do an inside-out swing to kind of throw y'all off and find a gap?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, hey, y'all were just so loud and rambunctious today. You tore up the studio. Look at Ramon. He's taking a picture of y'all. Look at her. She tilts her head, and she's like, this one over here still doing her hair. Hey, I want to thank the parents again for bringing your kids out and all the training y'all brought them to and everything. It's a great group. I've enjoyed covering them this year. Andrew, I don't know if he was a big volleyball fan beforehand, but he's, talk a little about what you've discovered this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a chance to watch, I think, all of your teams play, and it's been really exciting, and I'm excited to see how far y'all can take it in the playoffs, because it looks like we have 4 teams that are going to go pretty deep here. So best of luck the rest of the way, and thanks for coming and joining us today.
Yep, thanks for coming and watching. We wish you a great day. Come watch some volleyball. You'll be amazed at the action of it. We appreciate it. Brian, back to you.
Thanks, Henry, and shout out to some of the best liberos here in the Rio Grande Valley for visiting with us and getting to know them off the court, and I guess kind of peeling the curtain back and showing what it takes to be a good libero, such a good defensive player, and to make things happen. Everybody knows that the people who record all those kills, who make those big plays at the net, that they get a lot of the recognition, but they couldn't make that stuff happen without the play of these liberos behind them. So thank you to them, and good luck to those ladies going forward with the rest of the high school volleyball season. And so that wraps up the RGV Sports Show Week 7 recap. Andrew, I know you got your Astros, you got your orange on. What do you think about this series coming up against the Yankees?
Big game coming up tonight. Hopefully the Astros can get it done so we don't have to hear from our resident New Yorker about it all week. But fingers crossed, we'll see how they do tonight.
Absolutely. So go Astros.
Go Astros.
We're all Texas boys here, so we're rooting for the Astros. And like you said, hopefully we don't have to hear it from our resident Yankees fan. So thank you guys for joining us. This has been the RGV Sports Show Week 7 recap. Breaking down football, volleyball, with a little baseball talk tossed in there. So can't wait. You can catch us again on Wednesday with the RGV Sports Show Week 8 preview. We'll be coming to you with the new game of the week, the new top 10, and breaking down some of the biggest matchups in the Rio Grande Valley on the high school football field coming up next week. So thank you for joining us. We'll catch you next time.